Alex pressed his shoulder against the apartment door as the cold evening wind chased him inside. The hallway outside smelled of rain and metal, a mix of city grit and ozone from the passing storm. He exhaled in relief. All day he had been on his feet at the repair docks, and every muscle begged for rest. His only plan was to warm some noodles, maybe watch a slow old movie, and forget about the noise of the crowded spaceport. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Usually a soft hum came from Zira's room. She liked to play strange music that sounded like a heartbeat mixed with wind. Tonight there was only stillness, as if the whole place was holding its breath. Alex set his tool bag down and glanced at the clock. It was earlier than usual. Zira never left before sunset. He wondered if she had gone out. Maybe she was still at the research lab. Still, something tugged at his mind, a small worry he could not name. Zira was careful and private, but she always left a note if she went far. The message screen by the door was empty. Alex walked toward her room. The door was a smooth silver panel, a piece of alien design that didn't match the rest of the human-built apartment. He knocked lightly with 2 fingers. "Zira, you around?" No answer. He knocked again, a little louder. "Hey, dinner's on me tonight." "Want noodles?" Still nothing. A faint light leaked from the thin seam of the door, a pale blue glow that pulsed like slow breathing. Alex frowned. The sight was both beautiful and strange. He reached for the door panel. Usually it was locked with a soft chime that asked for a code. Tonight the panel lit green the moment he touched it. Maybe she forgot to lock it, he murmured to himself. He hesitated, but worry edged him forward. "Zira, I'm just checking in, okay?" The door slid open without a sound. The air inside felt alive. A soft vibration tickled his skin, like standing near a giant speaker turned low. The room shimmered in gentle blue light that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere. For a moment, Alex thought he had stepped into a dream. Zira stood in the center of the room. She was not wearing the human-shaped suit she always wore in public. Gone were the dark cloak and the smooth mask that translated her voice. Instead, her true form shone like starlight. Her skin was a canvas of living color, silver and violet patterns moving slowly across her arms and face. Each pattern shifted like a tide, forming spirals that melted into new shapes. It was not just light, it was motion and music all at once. The faint hum in the air matched the gentle rhythm of the colors. Alex froze. His heart thudded so loudly he worried it would break the silence. Zira turned at the sound of his breath. Her luminous eyes widened, 2 galaxies spinning with quiet fire. Without the mask, her face was a soft oval, almost human but filled with unearthly grace. Neither of them spoke. The silence was deep enough to hear the pulse of the lights around her. Alex felt the heat rise in his cheeks. He had lived with Zira for months, shared meals, traded jokes about human customs, but he had never imagined this. She was radiant, fragile, and powerful all at once, like a living fragment of the night sky. His voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." Zira lifted one graceful hand. Her fingers were long and shining like threads of moonlight. "Stop," she said softly. Her voice, without the translator, was music. It rang like a gentle chime carried by the wind, filled with tones that made the air itself tremble. Alex had never heard anything like it. "You were not meant to see this," she continued, each word slow and careful, as if she shaped them from light. I was worried," Alex stammered. The door was open. He swallowed hard. "I didn't mean to invade your space." Zira tilted her head. The silver patterns on her skin dimmed, like clouds passing over a moon. "This is my Sheelan," she said, her melodic voice dropping to a whisper. "It is a time of renewal for my kind. We shed the coverings to heal." "Heal?" Alex repeated, the word catching on his tongue. She lowered her eyes, the light on her cheeks flickering like candle flame. "Not in the way humans heal wounds. We carry the day's noise in our bodies. Every word, every sound, every glance from strangers, it stays with us. During the Sheelan, we release it. We sing the light out until we are whole again." Alex's gaze followed the gentle movement of her colors, each shift like the beat of a heart. He felt a strange calm settle over him, a quiet awe he could not explain. "It's beautiful," he said at last, the words barely more than breath. Zira turned slightly away as if the compliment stung. "Among my people, to be seen like this is intimate," she said. "It is not for outsiders." Alex's chest tightened. He took a small step back, careful not to startle her. "I understand. I shouldn't have come in." He wanted to look away but couldn't. "I'm sorry for breaking your trust. I'll go." She did not move to stop him, but her eyes, those galaxies, watched him with a mix of caution and something softer he couldn't name. Alex backed toward the door. His heart pounded with a tangle of feelings, guilt, wonder, and a deep curiosity that refused to fade. Before he stepped out, he looked at her one last time. The silver and violet light still pulsed, steady and quiet, like a distant heartbeat. "Zira," he said softly. "Thank you for letting me see even a moment of this. I know it wasn't meant for me, but it's extraordinary." Her lips parted slightly as if she wanted to speak, but no sound came. Only the gentle hum of the Sheelan filled the room. Alex slipped out, the door sealing with a whisper. Back in the hallway, he leaned against the wall, his mind racing. The dull fluorescent lights of the corridor felt flat and lifeless after the living glow he had just witnessed. He closed his eyes and tried to steady his breath. What had he just seen? Who was the person he thought he knew as his quiet, careful roommate? The storm outside rattled the windows. Rain streaked the glass, and somewhere far below the city roared on, unaware of the small universe he had just stepped into. Alex knew one thing. Nothing about his friendship with Zira would ever feel the same. And deep inside, past the guilt and shock, a single thought burned bright. He had just glimpsed a truth larger than stars. The next morning, Alex woke to the soft hiss of rain against the window. His dreams had been heavy with light, silver and violet streams curling through endless dark. But the memory of Zira's real voice lingered the most. That sound had been music and wind all at once, and he could still feel it humming in his chest. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the floor. The apartment was quiet again. No music, no footsteps, only the faint drip of rain outside. He wondered if Zira had even slept. Maybe she stayed awake through the night, still glowing in that secret way. Alex rubbed his eyes and thought of the look she had given him. Half surprise, half something else. Not anger, not exactly. More like the way someone shields a fragile piece of their soul. He felt a heavy ache of guilt. He stepped into the hallway, the cold tiles waking him fully. Zira's door was shut, its silver panel dark and smooth. He stood there for a long moment, unsure if he should knock. Finally, he whispered, "Good morning," but the sound felt small and useless. He made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, staring at the rising steam. Usually Zira joined him for breakfast, sometimes with questions about human customs or odd jokes she had picked up from late-night radio shows. But the minutes crawled by with no sign of her. When he was about to leave for work, a soft sound made him turn. The silver door slid open. Zira stepped out, cloaked and masked again as if last night had been a dream. The black fabric covered every line of her body. The translator mask hid her luminous face, giving her voice its usual flat tone. "Good morning," she said, but the mechanical filter stripped away the music Alex had heard. He forced a small smile. "Morning, did you sleep well?" "I do not sleep in the human sense," she answered. She moved to the cupboard for tea, her gestures precise, distant. Alex's chest tightened. He wanted to say something, anything, to make the air between them less heavy. "I made coffee. There's some left if you want." "I do not drink coffee." Her words were polite but cool. The silence stretched like a long shadow. "Zira," he began carefully. "About last night." She froze, her back still to him. "I'm sorry," Alex said. "I should have knocked and waited." "I didn't mean to invade your space," Zira turned slowly. The dark lenses of her mask reflected the kitchen light, hiding her eyes. "Among my kind," she said, "the Sheelan is sacred. It is like a heartbeat of the soul. To be seen is to be read. It is as if you walked into my memories without permission." Alex swallowed hard. "I didn't know. The door was open and I thought maybe you needed help." Her head tilted slightly, but she did not step closer. "You worry much. That is a human trait I have noticed. I care," he said quietly. For a moment, the soft hum of the rain was the only sound. Zira turned away to pour hot water into her cup. "Care can still wound," she said at last. The words cut deeper than Alex expected. He wanted to reach out to touch her shoulder, but he held himself still. "I'm sorry I hurt you," he said. "I'd never want to do that." Her hands paused over the cup. "I know." They stood in silence again, two figures separated by more than distance. Later at work, Alex found it impossible to focus. The clang of tools and the chatter of coworkers blurred into a low roar. Every spark of welding light reminded him of Zira's shifting patterns. He kept replaying the sight of her true form, those living colors that seemed to breathe with the universe itself. He wondered what her homeworld looked like when her entire species glowed together in the night. He wondered how lonely it must feel to hide that beauty every single day. By the time he returned to the apartment, the sky was a deep gray, heavy with another storm. Zira was sitting at the small dining table, still cloaked, a book open in front of her. The translator mask rested beside her cup of tea, but she wasn't wearing it. Alex paused at the door, surprised. Without the mask, her face was shadowed, but the faintest shimmer of light traced the edges of her cheeks. She looked up. "You are late. Long shift," he said, setting his bag down. "How was your day?" "Quiet," she replied. He wanted to tell her that the quiet between them hurt, that he missed their easy talks, but the words stuck. After a while, Zira spoke first. "Your world is loud," she said, eyes lowering to the book. "Voices, machines, thoughts. I feel them even through the walls. Sometimes I cannot breathe." Alex moved closer, careful. "Is that why you do the Sheelan?" "Yes," she said simply. "We release the noise so it does not break us." He nodded slowly. "I think humans need something like that too. We just don't know how." Her gaze lifted, meeting his. For the first time all day, he saw a spark of the galaxies he had witnessed. "Perhaps that is why you came into my room," she said softly. "Maybe you were seeking quiet even if you did not know it." Alex felt warmth rise in his chest. "Maybe," he admitted. The rain outside thickened, a steady rhythm on the windows. Zira closed her book and rested her hands on the table. "It is difficult to live with another," she said. "Different worlds, different hearts. Yet we try." "We do," Alex agreed. For a long moment they sat in the gentle sound of rain, the tension between them easing like a tide going out. Finally, Zira placed her mask back on and stood. "I will rest now," she said, her voice once again filtered and distant. Alex watched her leave, a quiet resolve forming in his heart. He would find a way to show her she was safe with him, even if it took a lifetime of small steps. That night, as he lay awake, he thought about her words. Care can still wound. He understood now. Care was not just feeling. It was respect. It was giving space even when every part of him wanted to stay close. The rain sang on, a soft reminder of the night before, when light and music had filled a room, and when a single mistake had opened a door to something far greater than either of them yet understood. The next day broke with a weak, silver dawn. The storm had passed, but the streets outside the apartment still glistened with rainwater. Alex lingered near the kitchen window, a mug of warm tea in his hands. He had not slept much. Thoughts of Zira, her luminous skin, her quiet sorrow, kept circling through his mind like restless birds. He wanted to fix the distance between them. Yet he feared that every word might push her further away. He remembered how she said care can still wound. The phrase stayed with him like a faint bruise on his heart. Zira emerged from her room late in the morning, still cloaked and masked. The translator gave her voice that steady, soft, mechanical tone again. "Good morning," she said, polite but careful. "Morning," Alex answered. I made tea if you'd like some." "Thank you," she replied and poured a cup. She sat across from him, her movements smooth but distant, like someone performing a ritual with no feeling. Alex watched the steam curl between them. He took a breath, deciding to risk the quiet. "Zira," he began, "I've been thinking about what you said yesterday. About the Sheelan." She lowered her head slightly, the dark lenses of her mask hiding her eyes. "It is not something humans need to worry about." "But I want to understand," he said gently. "You live so far from your home. You keep so much hidden. If I am to be your friend, I should know what matters to you." A long silence filled the kitchen. Finally, Zira set her cup down. "Why does it matter to you?" "Because you matter to me," Alex said. His voice was steady but soft. Zira's shoulders shifted, a small movement Alex could barely read. "Humans are curious," she said at last. "You always reach for what is covered. My people, we protect what is inside. We believe the soul grows only in privacy." "I get that," Alex replied. "But maybe friendship is also about sharing. Not everything, but enough to trust each other." The lenses of her mask caught a flicker of morning light. "Trust. she echoed almost to herself. Alex gave a small smile. Yeah, trust. For the first time in days, Zira's posture softened. She took a slow sip of tea and said quietly, "When I left my world, I carried its silence with me. Out there, our nights are alive with color. We glow together, thousands of us, under a dark sky. Each pattern we share is a memory, a song of our ancestors. Here on Earth, I must hide that light or I become a spectacle." Alex's chest tightened. "That sounds beautiful and hard." "It is both," she admitted. "When I perform the Shilin, I release the noise of this world and remember who I am. Without it, I would fade." Alex leaned forward, his voice warm. "Thank you for telling me. I can only imagine how lonely that feels." Zira tilted her head as if studying his words. "Lonely," she repeated. "Yes, it is a quiet ache. I speak your language, I walk your streets, but part of me remains a traveler in endless night." Something inside Alex ached, too. "I can't change the distance between our worlds," he said, "but I can listen. You don't have to carry it alone." For a heartbeat, the room held a fragile stillness. Then Zira whispered, "You are kind, Alex." Her true voice slipped through the translator for just a second, a musical tone that made the air tremble. The rest of the day unfolded gently. They shopped for groceries together, their conversation light but easier than before. Zira asked about human spices. Alex explained the strange local habit of adding lemon to everything. It felt almost normal, as if a small bridge had formed between them. Later, when they returned home, the sky had turned a soft purple. Zira paused by the window, watching the city lights blink to life. "Your world glows in its own way," she said, her voice thoughtful. "It does," Alex agreed. "But it's nothing like your light." Zira gave a sound that might have been a quiet laugh. "Perhaps not." After dinner, Alex found himself staring at the door to her room again. The memory of her shimmering form filled his mind. He did not want to intrude, but he wanted to understand more. He knocked gently. "Zira, can we talk a little longer?" The door slid open a few inches. Zira stood inside, cloak still around her shoulders. The faint blue glow of her room spilled into the hallway. "I do not usually invite others here," she said softly. "I can stay by the door," Alex offered. "I just want to listen." She hesitated, then stepped aside. The room hummed with a quiet vibration, a softer echo of the night he had first entered. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the walls like constellations. Alex stayed near the doorway, careful not to cross some invisible line. Zira moved to the center of the room. "These are memory lights," she explained. "Each one holds a story of my family. I bring them when I travel so I do not forget." Alex's breath caught. "They're beautiful. They are fragments of home," she said. "My mother gave them to me before I left. She said, carry our sky with you." Alex felt a lump in his throat. "Do you miss her?" "Every day," Zira replied. Her voice trembled, barely audible. "On my world, distance is not so heavy. Here it is endless." Alex stepped closer, his movement slow. "I miss my family too," he said softly. "They're only a few cities away, but sometimes it feels like another universe." Zira looked at him, and for a moment her mask flickered with faint light. "Perhaps loneliness speaks the same language," she whispered. Alex nodded. "Maybe that's why we found each other." The room grew quiet except for the gentle hum of the memory lights. Alex felt a deep calm settle over him, as if the space itself held them safe. When Zira finally spoke, her words carried a fragile hope. "If you wish, one day I can show you more of the Shilin. Not as an accident, as a choice." Alex's heart lifted. "I'd like that, only if you're comfortable." Her mask shimmered faintly, as though her hidden eyes softened. "I will think about it." They stood together in silence, two travelers from different worlds sharing a small pocket of understanding. Outside, the city buzzed with lights and noise, but inside the room was a quiet sky of its own, a hidden world where trust had begun to bloom. A soft wind rattled the apartment windows as dusk settled over the city. The lights outside blinked like restless fireflies, but inside the living room only a single lamp glowed. Alex sat on the couch with a worn book in his hands, though he hadn't turned a page in half an hour. His thoughts kept drifting back to the quiet conversation with Zira the night before. The memory lights on her wall, her voice trembling when she spoke of home. He kept seeing the way she had looked at him when she said, "Perhaps loneliness speaks the same language." The words lingered in his chest like a slow heartbeat. He wanted to help her, to draw her closer. But he also feared that one careless move could undo the fragile trust she had offered. The silver door to her room stayed closed. A faint hum, almost too soft to hear, seeped through the wall. Alex wondered if she was beginning another Sheelan. He imagined her inside, wrapped in light and memory, carrying the weight of two worlds. Hours later, Zira emerged. She wore her usual black cloak, but the translator mask was off, revealing the smooth curve of her face. A faint violet shimmer traced the edges of her skin, as if a piece of the night sky clung to her. Alex felt a lump rise in his throat. "Thank you," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "Thank you for listening," she replied, "for standing in the stillness with me." They stood side by side beneath the gentle glow of the memory lights, the fragile bridge between their worlds growing stronger with every heartbeat. Outside, the city continued its restless hum, but in that quiet room, two lives, human and alien, had found a shared place. A small, shining space where loneliness turned into connection and where the distance between stars felt smaller than ever before. The morning after the storm, sunlight poured through the kitchen window in soft golden streaks. Alex woke to the sound of quiet movement. Zira was already there, standing barefoot on the tile floor. She had set her translator mask aside and was carefully arranging fruit on a plate. Apples, bananas, and a strange purple melon she had bought from the market the day before. Alex paused in the doorway, taking in the scene. Her silver-gray skin caught the sunlight, glowing with a warmth he had never noticed before. For a moment he felt as if he were looking at a painting, something both familiar and beyond human understanding. "Good morning," he said softly. Zira turned, her eyes bright with that faint blue shimmer. "Good morning, Alex. I prepared something for us." "It is simple, but today feels different." Alex smiled, moving closer. "Different how?" She tilted her head, considering. "Like the air is lighter. Like we have crossed a distance I once thought endless." They ate in peaceful silence. The fruit was sweet and cool, and every bite felt like a small celebration. Alex watched her as she tasted each piece with careful attention, as though the flavors themselves were a mystery worth solving. After breakfast, Zira said, "I want to show you more of my world today. Not just lights and songs, something alive." "What do you mean?" Alex asked. Zira's lips curved into a soft smile. "Come with me. You will see." They left the apartment and walked through the city. The streets buzzed with life, children laughing, cars rushing by, shopkeepers calling out prices. Zira kept her cloak's hood low, but Alex noticed people staring. Some were curious. A few looked uneasy. He stayed close to her, feeling a quiet protectiveness. "Ignore them," he murmured. "I am used to watching eyes," she said calmly. "But today I only watched the sky." They walked until they reached the old botanical garden at the city's edge. It was nearly empty, the morning crowd still far away. Flowers of every color swayed in the breeze. Birds darted through shafts of sunlight. Zira inhaled deeply, her eyes half closed. "This place has a rhythm," she said. "It is not my world, but it sings the same language." She led him to a quiet pond surrounded by tall reeds. The water mirrored the sky in gentle ripples. Zira knelt at the edge and placed her hands lightly on the surface. "On my planet," she said, "we share memory with water. It holds echoes of sound, light, feeling. I cannot call the same magic here, but I can listen." Alex knelt beside her, the damp earth cool under his knees. "Can I listen too?" "Yes, place your hand beside mine." "Close your eyes," he did. At first he heard only the soft lap of water and the distant call of a bird. Then faintly, something else, like a slow heartbeat deep beneath the pond. It wasn't sound exactly. It was more like a vibration that hummed through his skin. He opened his eyes in wonder. "I felt it." Zira smiled, her own eyes glowing faintly. "That is the memory of the world speaking. You have a quiet heart, Alex, that is why you can hear it." They stayed by the pond for a long time, the city's noise far away. Alex felt as though the world had slowed to match the gentle rhythm of their breathing. When they finally stood, Zira touched his arm. "Thank you for sharing this with me," she said. "Back home we do not listen alone. Today you were my circle." Her words warmed him like sunlight. "I'm glad you brought me here," he said. "I didn't know I needed this." As they walked back toward the city, the streets grew busier. Children played near a fountain, their laughter echoing off the buildings. Zira paused, watching them with a distant look. "What is it?" Alex asked. "Life continues always," she said softly. "No matter the planet, the pattern is the same. We are all threads of the same tapestry. Alex nodded. Maybe we're not so different after all. Zira's gaze met his, steady and warm. I think you are right. That evening, back at the apartment, they shared a simple dinner. The quiet between them was not heavy but full, like a song waiting to be sung. After they cleaned the dishes, Zira brought out a small crystal sphere from her travel bag. It pulsed with faint light. This is a memory crystal, she explained. It records moments not with pictures but with feelings and sound. I wish to keep today inside it. Alex watched as she held the sphere to her forehead. A gentle glow spread across its surface, carrying soft tones like distant chimes. When the light faded, she offered it to him. Touch it, she said. When his fingers brushed the smooth surface, warmth flooded through him. Sunlight on water, the heartbeat of the pond, Zira's quiet presence beside him. He pulled back, awed. It's all there, he whispered. Now this day will live as long as the stars, Zira said. Later, as night settled over the city, they sat on the small balcony. The sky was clear, stars scattered like silver dust. Zira leaned against the railing, her eyes reflecting the cosmos. Do you ever wish to see my world? She asked softly. Alex hesitated. Every day, he admitted. But I don't know if I could ever leave this one. You would not have to, she said. Sometimes it is enough to carry the wonder inside. The journey is already there. Alex thought of the pond's heartbeat, the crystal's warmth, and the quiet bridge they had built. You've already brought your world to me, he said. Zira turned toward him, her face gentle in the starlight. And you have given me a piece of yours. The night stretched on, quiet and endless. They spoke little, letting the silence hold them. For the first time since Zira arrived, Alex felt no gap between their lives. Human and alien, Earth and distant stars, everything seemed to blend into one vast shared sky. When they finally rose to go inside, Zira paused and said, Today, our worlds touched. This is only the beginning. Alex met her glowing eyes and felt a quiet certainty. Then let's see where it leads. They stepped back into the warm glow of their apartment, carrying the soft memory of the day, the pond's song, the crystal's light, and the growing bond that neither distance nor time could undo. Outside, the city pulsed with its usual restless rhythm, but within those walls a deeper rhythm beat in harmony. Two lives, two worlds, finding their way toward something entirely new. The next morning carried the quiet weight of change. A soft mist wrapped the city, blurring rooftops and streetlights until everything looked like a half-remembered dream. Alex woke to the sound of Zira humming in the kitchen, the same low melody he had once heard behind her door. When he stepped out, she turned to him with a gentle smile. Her eyes held a strange light, not the calm glow he had grown used to, but something more like dawn breaking across a far horizon. Good morning, he said, trying to match her warmth. Good morning, Alex, she replied. Her voice was calm, yet there was a quiet gravity beneath it. Today is an important day. They shared breakfast slowly, neither rushing to speak. Alex noticed that Zira's crystal sphere rested on the table, pulsing faintly as if it sensed the mood. Finally, she set down her cup and looked at him. My people called for me, she said. It is time for me to return home. The words fell between them like a soft but heavy stone. Alex's throat tightened. So soon? I delayed as long as I could, she admitted. But the journey home is long and the window to travel safely is small. I must leave tonight. He sat in silence, his mind trying to hold the news. He had known somewhere deep down that she would leave eventually. Yet hearing it aloud felt different, like the sudden snap of a bridge cable. I don't want you to go, he said quietly. Zira reached across the table, her cool fingers brushing his hand. I do not want to go either. But this is the rhythm of life. We meet, we learn, we carry each other forward. Her touch grounded him even as a dull ache spread through his chest. It feels too soon, he whispered. Perhaps it always would, she said gently. They spent the day together, walking through familiar streets as if seeing them for the last time. The marketplace buzzed with voices and music, but Alex heard only the quiet beat of his own heart. Zira stopped to watch a street musician play a slow, haunting tune on a wooden flute. Your world sings even when it does not know someone is listening, she said softly. Alex nodded, trying to memorize every sound, every glance they shared. They visited the botanical garden one final time. The pond reflected the pale afternoon sky, its gentle ripples carrying their mirrored faces. Zira knelt and placed her hand on the water, closing her eyes. "The memory of this place will travel with me," she said. "Its rhythm will join the songs of my ancestors." Alex knelt beside her, their shoulders nearly touching. "And I'll remember this heartbeat forever," he said. As dusk settled, they returned to the apartment. Zira carefully packed her few belongings: the cloak, the translator mask, the shimmering crystal sphere. Each movement was slow, deliberate, as if she was folding pieces of their time together into every corner of her bag. Alex helped where he could, though his hands trembled slightly. When she finished, she held out the crystal sphere. Its soft glow pulsed like a living star. "I want you to have this," she said. His eyes widened. "You have been quiet," she said softly. Her natural voice filled the room like a small melody. Alex looked up from his untouched book. "Just thinking." "About what?" "You," he admitted. "And how far from home you are." Zira tilted her head, a gesture both curious and cautious. "And what did you decide?" "That it must feel heavy," Alex said, "like carrying a planet on your back." Zira stepped closer, her light catching on the edge of the lamp. "It is heavy," she whispered. "Sometimes I wake and forget which sky I will see when I open my eyes. For a moment I expect the great violet horizon of my world, but it is always your gray morning instead." Her words pierced him with quiet sadness. "That sounds hard," he said. "It is a slow ache," she continued. "I chose this path. I came to learn, yet the silence of distance. It does not end." Alex set the book aside. "When I left my hometown to work here, I thought I knew loneliness. But it's nothing like what you carry." Zira gave a faint, shimmering smile. "Loneliness wears many shapes." They sat across from each other. The city's hum outside faded beneath their shared silence. Alex felt the need to ask the question that had been resting on his tongue for days. "Do you regret coming to Earth?" Zira's eyes glowed faintly. "No, regret is not the right word. I miss my people, but I also wonder. Your world is messy, loud, unpredictable, yet there is a wild beauty in it." Alex smiled faintly. "Most of us don't see that beauty anymore." "That is because you live inside it," she said. "You forget the wonder of your own sky." Her observation struck something deep in him. He thought of how he often hurried past sunsets or ignored the stars above the city lights. Maybe he had forgotten to look. A gentle pause filled the room before Zira spoke again. "Alex," she said, her voice lower now. "The night you entered my room, I was startled, but I also felt something I did not expect." He leaned forward. "What did you feel?" "A recognition," she said after a moment. "As if a door opened not just in my room but in my spirit. It frightened me." Alex's heart thudded. "Why frightened?" "My people share the Sheilan only with those we trust beyond words. To be seen like that is to be known. And you saw me before I chose to share." "I never wanted to force that," Alex said quickly. "I would never take what you weren't ready to give." "I believe you," she said, her eyes softening. "That is why I speak to you now." The room grew still. Outside, rain began again, a soft curtain of sound against the windows. "Sometimes," Alex said quietly, "I feel like we're both searching for something. Maybe the same thing, even if we can't name it." Zira considered this. "Perhaps. Connection is a force that crosses stars." He felt warmth spread through his chest. "Yeah, maybe that's why the universe put us in the same apartment." A small laugh escaped her, a gentle, musical sound. "The universe has strange plans." Later, they prepared a simple dinner together. Zira watched with amusement as Alex tried to slice vegetables evenly. "Your hands are clumsy," she teased lightly. "And yours are too graceful," he replied with a grin. She tilted her head, a shimmer of light dancing across her cheekbones. "Perhaps it balances." They ate side by side at the small table. The warmth of shared food softened the edges of the day. For the first time since that accidental moment, Alex felt something close to peace. After dinner, Zira walked to the window. The city lights sparkled beneath the night sky. She placed a slender hand on the glass. "Your stars are faint," she said softly. "There's too much city light," Alex explained. "It hides them, yet they are still there," she whispered. "Even when you cannot see them." Alex stepped beside her. "Like your home. Still there, waiting." Zira nodded slowly. "Yes, waiting." A quiet understanding passed between them. Alex felt the urge to reach for her hand but stopped himself. remembering her need for space. Instead, he stood close enough to feel the faint warmth of her presence. "I know I can't replace your world," he said gently, "but you're not alone here. Not if you don't want to be." Zira turned to him, her violet eyes glowing like distant galaxies. "You already make the distance feel smaller," she said. The words filled Alex with a strange, tender courage. They stayed by the window as the night deepened, two silhouettes against the city's restless glow. In that stillness, Alex felt the great gap between their worlds, but also the quiet bridge forming across it. For the first time, he understood what it meant to carry the distance between stars, and how a single moment of trust could light the way through the endless dark. The days that followed unfolded like slow waves, quiet, steady but never empty. Alex noticed small changes between them. Zira no longer kept her door shut for long hours. Sometimes she would sit with him in the kitchen while he cooked, her cloak loose around her shoulders, her translator mask resting on the table like a forgotten tool. Those evenings felt soft and alive. They talked about small things, the strange taste of earth spices, the music she heard on late-night broadcasts, the smell of rain after a storm. Each word felt like a step across an invisible bridge, fragile but real. Still, Alex sensed an unspoken distance. Zira's eyes, bright as distant galaxies, often wandered toward the window as if searching for a sky only she could see. He wanted to ask what she was thinking, but he held his questions. He had learned that silence could be a kind of respect. One morning, Alex woke early to the faint hum of Zira's voice. It was not words but music, a low, shimmering song that seemed to come from the walls themselves. He followed the sound to her room and stopped at the closed door. He didn't enter. Instead, he leaned against the hallway wall and listened. The melody wrapped around him like warm light. It carried both sorrow and hope, a sound that reached places inside him he didn't know existed. When the song ended, the door slid open. Zira stood there, her skin faintly glowing, her eyes soft with surprise. "You heard?" she said in her natural voice, gentle and musical. "I did," Alex admitted. "It was beautiful." Zira tilted her head, studying him. "It is a memory song," she explained. "We sing to keep our ancestors close. Each note holds a story." "I could feel it," he said, even without understanding the words. A faint shimmer crossed her cheeks, almost like a smile. "You listen well, Alex. Many humans only hear noise." He felt a quiet pride at her words. "I guess I like the quiet parts of the world." "That is rare," she replied softly. Later that day, they decided to visit the rooftop garden above their building. The city stretched below them in a wash of gray and silver. Zira stepped to the edge, her cloak fluttering in the breeze. "Your world is always moving," she said, gazing at the streets alive with people and lights. "It never rests." "Sometimes it feels like we forget how to stop," Alex said. Zira looked upward, where the sky glowed pale blue. "Back home, we pause each night to watch the stars. We call it the hour of stillness. Everyone gathers, even children, to breathe with the universe." Alex tried to picture it, a whole planet falling quiet under a field of violet sky. "That sounds perfect," he said. "It keeps us whole," she murmured. "Here I must find my own stillness." They sat side by side on a low stone wall. A soft wind carried the scent of damp earth and distant rain. "Do you ever regret leaving?" Alex asked. Zira was silent for a moment. "No, I came to learn, to see. But I did not expect the loneliness to be so deep." Alex nodded. "I think loneliness is the hardest thing about being human, too. We build cities so close together, but we still feel alone." Her eyes, faintly luminous, turned toward him. "Maybe that is why you and I met," she said quietly. "Two kinds of loneliness finding each other." The thought filled Alex with a warm ache. Maybe it is. That evening, a heavy storm rolled in, knocking out power across the neighborhood. Darkness wrapped the apartment in soft shadows. Alex lit a candle and found Zira sitting cross-legged on the living room floor, her cloak folded beside her. Without the translator mask, her true voice filled the room. "The storm sounds like the deep sky," she said. "On my world, storms are silent but full of light. We watch them dance across the horizon." Alex placed the candle between them. "Maybe this can be our hour of stillness," he said. Zira's eyes glimmered with soft amusement. Perhaps. For a long while they sat in peaceful silence. Rain tapped against the windows like distant drums. The candlelight flickered over Zira's faintly glowing skin, painting gentle patterns on the walls. Alex felt the quiet settle deep inside him. The noise of the city, the weight of his own thoughts, everything softened until only the moment remained. Zira finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "When you first entered my room, I thought the bridge between us had broken before it began. But now, I see it differently." Alex looked at her, heart beating faster. "How do you see it now?" "It was not a breaking," she said. "It was the first step of the bridge we are building." Her words struck him with a quiet power. "I'm glad you think that," he said softly. "I was afraid I'd ruined everything." "You did not ruin," she said. "You reached without knowing, and I chose to answer." Alex felt warmth spread through his chest. "I'm honored you'd share this with me." Zira's eyes glowed a little brighter. "Trust is not given lightly among my people." "But you listen and you wait. That is why the bridge holds." The storm eased after midnight. When the lights finally flickered back on, Zira stood and extended a slender hand. "Come," she said. "Let me show you something." She led him to her room where the memory lights shimmered softly along the walls. Tonight they glowed brighter, weaving patterns the